Some of you may not know my background, his story, and it actually is my story. But I was one of these people who kind of had like some weird experiences, like at a certain age. Actually, all through my childhood and even into young adulthood. And those experiences have kind of influenced who I am, the way I see the world, the offbeat nature through which I kind of view this place. And one of the more interesting experiences I've had in my life was, let's say, when I was indulging in certain plant medicines, psychoactive, psychedelic plant medicines. Some call them entheogens, etc., etc. And during these experiences, I kind of was witness to certain things. Call them beings, entities, whatever you want. And it kind of shaped my life in a very particular way. So what I'd like to do now is go through a list of some of the entities that people encounter, particularly when they are experiencing a DMT trip.
Dimethyltryptamine, or DMT, is a powerful psychedelic substance that can produce intense and profound experiences. The effects of DMT can vary widely depending on the individual, the dosage, and the setting in which it is consumed. While under the influence of DMT, individuals may encounter a range of different entities or beings. Here are 10 types of entities that are commonly reported by people who have used DMT. One of the entities encountered while under the influence of DMT is the jester or trickster entity. This entity is often described as having a clown-like appearance and a mischievous demeanor. They may appear as a single entity or as a group, and they are known to play tricks on those who encounter them.
You know, we go to the circus, right? You have the jesters, the clowns. We have things like Mardi Gras. You have all these, well, they're basically related to Catholicism. Right around this time of year, actually, Carnival usually precedes the season of Lent. You see things like this. Well, your buddy Z's here to tell you that these things are less imagination and more real. You know, it says a lot about the realm that we live in, what this place is. One of my goals is to try to break people of their pre-indoctrinated beliefs and concepts of this world. I've spoken before about how we learn things, how our neurology develops. There's a concept called neuroplasticity. Our neurology is highly plastic up until about the age of 8 through 12. Then it starts to solidify somewhat. You always maintain a degree of plasticity, but nothing near the level of childhood and development through adolescence. Now, if you were, let's say, brought up in a particular culture, your worldview is going to reflect that due to your neurology. You will have certain beliefs and understandings. You may see this world as the Almighty God with a long beard sitting on a throne up in heaven, looking down on you, waiting to judge you. You might see the world like that. You might see the world in so many ways. But what does experience tell us? Because there's commonalities amongst certain psychedelic and transcendental experiences that cannot be ignored. Experiences that run across gender, culture, age. This is one of them, these experiences. So these jesters, who are they? What may they be? We live in a world that's much stranger than people would like to teach us.
Commonly encountered while under the influence of DMT is the entity of light. These entities are often described as having a bright, glowing appearance and emanating a sense of love and compassion. They may appear as a single entity or as a group, and they are known to communicate messages of love and unity to those who encounter them.
So that would be nice. Look, if I'm under like an intense DMT trip, I'd much rather come across these beings of light than those weird jester weirdos. By the way, there's multiple types of DMT. Well, I'll say a lot of people know this. There's a plant-derived DMT, but then there's a DMT derived from frogs. It's called like 5-MeO or something like that. And it apparently has different qualities than the plant-derived.
Another type of entity that can be encountered while under the influence of DMT is the alien or extraterrestrial entity. These entities are often described as having a non-human appearance, with unusual features such as elongated limbs, large eyes, or unusual skin texture. They may appear as a single entity or as a group, and they are known to communicate messages related to the nature of the universe and the purpose of human existence.
This kind of reminds me of like the archetype of the gray, right? The gray alien, machine-like, somewhat malevolent, etc., etc.
Can be encountered while under the influence of DMT is the machine elf or clockwork elf. These entities are often described as having a mechanical or robotic appearance and may appear as a single entity or as a group. They are known to be highly intelligent and communicate messages related to the nature of reality and the structure of the universe.
So I first heard about these machine elves years ago. They seem to kind of be involved with themselves, and they kind of come and they do these weird tricks. They show you things, manipulate matter. Another name for them is called the clockwork elves. I believe the machine elves and the clockwork elves are similar because they have these clockwork-like mechanistic bodies.
Some individuals have reported encountering entities during DMT trips that they describe as demons. These entities are often described as having a terrifying appearance with dark, menacing features and a sense of malevolence or aggression. They may communicate negative messages related to the individual's self-worth, personal power, or place in the universe. Type of entity that some individuals report encountering during DMT trips are angels or angelic beings. These entities are often described as having a loving, benevolent presence and may be associated with feelings of peace, comfort, and spiritual guidance.
So we just went from demons to angels that are kind of met on this plane, this psychedelic plane. Not a stretch. I mean, just a reminder for everybody, there's not much difference between a demon and an angel. They seem to be the same thing, just different degrees. They say a lot of these demons were supposedly fallen angels, whatever that means. If you take it out of a religious context and put it more into a mental framework, a framework of consciousness, you can kind of see the correlation. Similar in nature, but different in degree, as so many things are in this world. Counterparts, complementary, if you will. Is it possible that you may receive just as much benefit from a demon as an angel? Sometimes the best learning experiences are the ones that are unpleasant.
Of entity that some individuals report encountering during DMT trips are animal spirits or entities. These entities are often described as having a powerful and primal presence and may be associated with a sense of connection to nature and the animal kingdom. Another type of entity that some individuals report encountering during DMT trips are snakes or serpent entities. These entities are often described as having a powerful and transformative presence and may be associated with healing and transformation.
Again, the serpent. I've said numerous times how the serpent has been vilified in our modern culture, basically through the standard religions that we're presented with, at least the Abrahamic ones. You know, we find this persistent story about the snake. Here it's presenting the snake as something different. Many older cultures, cultures that maybe weren't the winners throughout history, so their story kind of gets changed and lost. Many of these cultures considered the snake to be a symbol and a being of knowledge, wisdom. Even in the Bible, the Christ figure says, "Be wise as serpents." Wise as serpents, gentle as doves. You can even look back all the way to the Sumerian culture and their depictions of certain beings, and you find that the serpent may be something much different than what's been presented.
DMT trips are dark beings or entities. These entities are often described as having a sinister and malevolent presence and may be associated with fear, anxiety, and feelings of being stalked or pursued. Unlike demons, which are often associated with religious beliefs and typically have a well-defined appearance, dark entities encountered during DMT trips are more nebulous and may take on different forms depending on the individual's interpretation.
Again, a more malevolent one. After going through these, you might wonder, why do people even do this? And why would you do it twice? But again, like I said, some of the best lessons that we could learn are maybe ones that weren't really asking for. Lessons that we may have avoided if we had a choice.
Another type of entity that some individuals report encountering during DMT trips are undefined beings. These entities are often described as being difficult to describe or define, with appearances that are constantly shifting and changing. The use of DMT has been associated with the experience of encountering a wide range of entities, each with its own unique appearance and characteristics. From angels to animal spirits, snakes to undefined beings, and everything in between. The descriptions of these entities provide a fascinating glimpse into the mystical and spiritual experiences that can occur during a DMT trip. It is important to note, however, that the entities encountered during DMT experiences are highly subjective and can vary widely from one individual to the next. Furthermore, there may be many other types of entities out there that have not yet been encountered or described.
Just in case anybody was wondering, yours truly has never participated in the DMT experience. My experience was through a plant called Salvia divinarum. A long time ago, when I was a young pup, and things are a little bit different in this country, you were able to find certain things at like head shops. And one of those was Salvia divinarum. It was out of control though, because they used to have it as like an extract. So it'd be like 20x or like 30 times the strength extract. Me kind of being like how I am, I picked up the strongest one they had, and I went online, and I just kind of looked up how you do it, and just basically smoke it in like a water bong. I had like a bubbler. You don't see bubblers too much anymore. Whatever happened to the bubbler? It's basically like a bong that's a pipe. Anyway, boy oh boy, I took the biggest, milky white hit you could ever imagine, and I would say within 20 seconds, I was basically surrounded by a bunch of gremlins just laughing at me. You could imagine, it was quite unexpected. And for those who are doubters, they'll say, well, you just expected to see that. You had a preconception. The answer is no. I had no preconception of the experience. That's how I know it's real. I was just an idiot in like the early 2000s. I had done no research on it. I just went to the store. Somebody said, oh, it's crazy, you know. You kind of trip off of it. So why did I see these jester gremlins? And then after I was done, I went online, and guess what? I found countless other people who had the exact same experience. So just know these things aren't coincidental. What they are, how it happens, we could argue about that. But to me, this gives us insight into the nature of this reality and what it is really. We think that this physical world is physical as such, just because we're seeing it from our perception in this 3D reality. We're basically matter, observing matter. But if you were able to take a higher view, let's say a view of the mind of the all or the source, well, my contention is we see this world as more like energy, probably just a particular frequency of energy existing along a very large spectrum of energy that makes up ultimate reality. The example would be the visual light spectrum. What we see with our vision is just a very narrow bandwidth of the entire electromagnetic spectrum, very small bandwidth. We know the energy exists outside of what we see because we can evidence it. Things like radio waves, microwaves, gamma rays, X-rays. It's all just electromagnetic energy. Through our vision and our visual system, we can sense and perceive some of this electromagnetic energy with our eyes. The point is, the energy exists nonetheless, even though it's beyond our perception. Even look at things like infrared technology. You could put on infrared goggles and look at the sky, and you will see things that you probably couldn't believe. Things that exist in the sky and even around you that are just below your visual perception, but they're nonetheless. And you can use technologies to see even above the blue, which would be the higher frequency light spectrum. There's a certain dye, I believe it's called like Dicinian dye, that you can use in certain goggles and lenses to see into the ultra vision spectrum. So you have infrared, and then you have the spectrum of higher frequency above the visual light. I like to point to these things because they evidence a world of consciousness, a world that is mind. Just like the ancients told us, all is mind, plain and simple. This isn't hyperbole. They were telling us something. These aren't just the metaphysics, but this is the physics of this reality. The science that we've been taught is merely conjecture. The subatomic world is a model that is unevidenced, just as unevidenced as the so-called solar system. The overwhelming likelihood is that all that really exists is electrical energy, frequency, vibration. That's what makes up this world. It's evidenced all around us. We can demonstrate frequency forming matter.